Pip's Spring Surprises. The sun poked a warm finger into the great oak, tickling Pip's nose. He woke up with a giant yawn and a tail that looked like a very grumpy toilet brush. Winter was over, but Pip's fur was still convinced it was a rug. He tried to smooth his messy gray tail, but it just popped back up into a frizzy cloud. "Time for spring cleaning," Pip squeaked, rubbing his sleepy eyes. Pip scrambled out of his hollow, ready to find his shiny silver button. But the forest had changed. Instead of white snow, there was bright, dizzying green everywhere. Pip poked a yellow dandelion, and it puffed a cloud of yellow dust right onto his nose. "Rude," Pip sneezed. The forest was waking up, and it was much louder and stickier than he remembered. Suddenly, a brown blur zoomed past. It was Leora, the mouse, but she wasn't slow and shivering anymore. She was bouncing like a tiny rubber ball. "Spring, spring, spring," she squeaked, running circles around Pip until he felt like he was standing on a merry-go-round. Pip tried to keep his balance, his paws waving wildly in the air. "Wait for me," Pip called, trying to hop like Leora. He took a giant leap, but instead of landing on a soft leaf, he went splat right into a hidden mud puddle. The mud was cool and very, very squishy. Pip looked down at his tummy, which was now a chocolatey brown instead of gray. He looked like a half-dipped cookie. Pip was trying to scrape the mud off when Zephyr the bluebird swooped down. Zephyr wasn't huddling against the cold anymore. He was on a mission. He was carrying a twig that was 3 times longer than he was. "Big plans, Pip, huge plans," Zephyr chirped, wobbling in the air as the wind caught his giant stick. Zephyr tried to land on a branch, but the giant twig got caught in a vine. Pip reached up to help, but his sticky, muddy paws got stuck to the branch too. Before they knew it, Pip and Zephyr were tangled in a knot of yarn, twigs, and old leaves. "Is this part of the new nest?" Pip asked, dangling upside down by one foot. After Zephyr untangled them, Pip headed toward the meadow. He found Thistle the rabbit, but Thistle wasn't hopping. He was sitting very still, his long ears twitching like crazy. "Don't move," Thistle whispered, his nose crinkling. I think... Pip leaned in close to hear what was wrong. "Achoo!" Thistle's sneeze was so big it blew Pip right off his feet. Pip tumbled backward, rolling like a fuzzy ball through the tall grass. He landed with a soft thump against a hollow log. Thistle shook his head, his long ears flopping back and forth. "Spring pollen," Thistle sighed. "It's a real nose tickler." As Pip brushed the grass off his fur, he saw a familiar twinkle near the log. It was his silver button. But it wasn't alone. A tiny green beetle was using the shiny button as a dinner table, eating a piece of clover off the top. Pip laughed. "I guess everyone needs a little treasure in the spring," he said to Leora, who had just caught up. Pip realized that spring was messy, itchy, and very loud, but it was also wonderful. He sat with Thistle in the sun, sharing a snack of sweet clover and crunchy sprouts. His fur was still a bit muddy, and his tail was still a frizzy mess, but Pip didn't mind. The forest was alive, and his friends were all together again.